Was good, you guys? I know it's been like a few days since I've been posting, but I am back with another reaction video. I know it's a different setup. I am currently in Plano, Texas right now, y'all. But yeah, I just came to upload. I was wondering if y'all want me to do a vlog while I'm here, just to show you what I'm doing and all that stuff. But I was thinking about moving down here, you guys, but I'm currently here in Plano. Sorry. But yeah, if y'all want me to do vlogs, comment down below. But today we're gonna be reacting to the teens who tortured their friend to death. Hopefully we don't see no blood, nothing crazy like that, but I see a disclaimer on the screen, so maybe we might see some crazy shit. But let's get right into the video. Oh shit.
For many teenagers, much of their lives are lived virtually online. In fact, most talk to their friends almost entirely through text, Snapchat, and online messaging. To them, the online world is just as real as anything else, but it also appears to be safer. Online, teens can share their real thoughts without the same fear of repercussion, and they can even voice their darkest secrets. However, sometimes those secrets are so dark that they can't stay online forever. What's up, Iwu crew? Today we're going to discuss the case of a young Canadian woman who tragically met her end in the most brutal way possible. Police were baffled when a charred body was discovered hidden inside of a hockey bag. But with further investigation and over 1.4 billion pages of data transcripts, it was a clue in the popular game World of Warcraft that eventually led to her killers. Let's get into it. Fred and Lucy Proctor started their new year off with the best gift possible in 1992. On January 1st, they welcomed a daughter into the world. They named her Kimberly. The family lived in Langford, a town on Vancouver Island, just a short ferry ride from Seattle. Kimberly grew up loving animals. She raised several pets, and it seemed that she was more comfortable around her animals than with the kids her own age. Prone to being the victim of bullying in school, Kimberly wasn't equipped to handle the anxiety she felt in the classroom. Crammed hallways and the constant pressure from her peers led Kimberly to transition out of her school. She ended up at Pacific Christian Secondary School, an alternative high school in Victoria where they described that their students are learning and grappling with life and learning from a Christian perspective. Unfortunately for Kimberly, all alternative students were lumped together in the classrooms, regardless of the reasons they were sent there. She was enrolled partly because of her anxiety, and she ended up sitting alongside students with a history of violent outbursts. Cruz Wellwood, a fellow student, was at the school because of his own history of violence. He had reportedly broken another student's nose, and on a different occasion, had hit another classmate over the head with a chain. Cruz's tendencies were a chip off the old block. His father, who had abandoned the family when he was still a baby, is serving a life sentence for assaulting and strangling to death a 16-year-old girl when Cruz was only 7 years old.
Wow.
Cruz would later write, "I hated my father for what he did." He stopped replying to his father's letters at the age of 12 while living with his grandparents. A few years later, Cruz, whose teachers described him as, quote, anti-female, moved in with his mother, whom he constantly belittled and had reportedly hit on 2 occasions. Another student at the school, Cameron Moffat, had been friends with Cruz since the 5th grade. The two would skip school to smoke pot and began consuming alcohol at the age of only 10. Later, their drug use would allegedly transition to harder drugs, such as LSD and ecstasy. Cameron was a much worse student than Cruz, passing only 5 of his classes during his 4 years in high school. But his larger stature allowed him to display dominance over Cruz by punching him. Cameron's aggression in school started in kindergarten. He would hit and push kids, and in middle school, he was suspended twice. In his home life, he was said to physically hurt his sister and even kicked the family dog, breaking its paw on one occasion. He was eventually expelled permanently for bringing a box cutter to school and threatening his sister. 16-year-old Cameron, 17-year-old Cruz, and 18-year-old Kimberly all hung out in the same group at their alternative high school and would get together regularly to smoke pot. Kimberly began dating another boy in the group, but was heartbroken when he suddenly broke off their relationship. She confided in Cruz and Cameron by messaging them both online. Both boys began to flirt with her.
Are you ready to lose that stubborn weight fast
She was trying
and keep it off for good? So you can start living healthier and happy?
I ain't gonna say that.
Cameron wrote to her, "There aren't many beautiful things I've seen, but I must say you are one of them." Although Kimberly played along with the flirtations, she ultimately declined their advances. Cruz sent messages to Kimberly saying that she made him feel honest, telling her, "You're beautiful the way you are, and I can't lie to you." Kimberly ended up going on 1 or 2 dates with Cruz, but ended things through a text message. Following this, Cruz was said to torment her online for the next month. The longtime childhood friendship between Cruz and Cameron had gradually developed into something much darker and more violent. The two would get together to watch aggressive adult videos and would carry on conversations online fantasizing about assault. They were high the majority of the time and even began experimenting with drinking blood and other bodily fluids. The next known contact between Cruz and Kimberly happened the same night she was messaging online with Cameron. She switched between the two conversations, telling Cruz that she was surprised to hear from him. Cruz wrote that he wanted to apologize and asked Kimberly if she had plans the next day because he wanted to hang out with her. He told her that he had to tell her something in person. Kimberly replied saying that it was all so sudden and she was shocked when she got his message. She asked him to call her. The two talked on the phone for about an hour, but unknown to Kimberly, during the call, Cruz merged it so that Cameron could also listen in. Kimberly agreed to meet Cruz the following morning at the Langford bus exchange. During the conversation, the two boys messaged back and forth, relishing in their dark fantasies. Cruz wrote to Cameron, "I'm going to rip her nose ring out and burn it, burn her flesh." Cameron recommended, "Why not keep her bound and alive?" To which Cruz responded, "That's what I'm going to do, but I need to get her stoned first and possibly seduce her." All the while, Cruz continued to talk to Kimberly on the phone, as though nothing was wrong. On the morning of March 18, 2010, Kimberly and her parents had a lot to celebrate. The previous day, they found out that she had earned enough credits to graduate from high school, and Kimberly was very excited about potentially beginning to volunteer at an animal sanctuary. When her mother kissed her goodbye and told her she loved her before leaving for work, she expected that Kimberly would babysit later that afternoon, and then return home to sew her graduation dress. Kimberly slipped on her black hoodie adorning the number 13 before leaving the house. Around 10:30 a.m. that morning, Kimberly met up with Cruz and Cameron at the Langford bus exchange as she'd planned. Cameron had entered the Canadian Tire home improvement store earlier that morning to purchase about $17 worth of camping fuel. The three of them talked for a bit before heading to Cruz's house on Happy Valley Road. The two boys had planned an attack on Kimberly the night before. Cruz told Cameron the code phrase for when he was ready to initiate the attack. He told Cameron that when he said, "I think I'm going to make some KD," that would be the signal. KD is a Canadian abbreviation for Kraft Macaroni and Cheese Dinner. It wasn't long after the three teenagers entered the house that the two boys pounced on Kimberly. They bound and gagged her, tying her up from the wrists and ankles, shoving a sock into her mouth, then sealing it with duct tape. For hours, they took turns assaulting and beating the helpless girl, living out the twisted fantasies they had discussed with each other before stuffing her into a freezer. Her official cause of death was asphyxiation as she slowly and painfully ran out of oxygen inside the freezer. At one point during the torture, possibly while Kimberly was still alive, Cruz logged into his computer and sent her one last message, presumably trying to give himself an alibi. In the message, he asked her if she was done babysitting. While on the computer, other friends messaged Cruz after noticing that he was online. After one of these friends complained that Cruz wasn't responding as he had continued his sinister activities, he eventually wrote back, "Sorry, the freezer was jumping around." The following day, Cameron and Cruz stuffed Kimberly's lifeless body into a hockey bag. Cameron, the stronger of the two, was able to carry the bag to the public bus stop, where they, along with Kimberly's corpse, boarded the bus heading for a popular hiking trail. Getting off the bus near the Galloping Goose Trail, they carried the body into the woods and under a bridge. They covered the bag in the camping fuel that Cameron had purchased the previous day before setting it on fire. During their time under the bridge, Cruz sent a message from his phone, one that he would come to regret. The boys then continued on as if nothing had happened. Later that day, Cameron had brunch with his mother and grandmother, who ended up buying him a video game afterward. Cruz then spent the day at his house with a girl he was dating. All the while, Kimberly's family was worried sick and desperately searching for her. At around 7 p.m. that evening, a few hikers went under the bridge of the Galloping Goose Trail, where they discovered Kimberly's charred remains. They notified authorities, who immediately began an investigation. It only took 3 days for police to use dental records to confirm the identity of the body as Kimberly Proctor. Her family was utterly devastated. At first, investigators were bewildered. Who could be responsible for doing such a horrific thing to an 18-year-old girl? His friends and family set up a public memorial page in Kimberly's honor on Facebook. They kept close watch, scouring each post and comment for clues. "You'd be amazed at how many people don't have a single privacy setting on there," said one of the authorities on the case. Cruz, already worried that his text message sent from the Galloping Goose Trail could be incriminating, grew more cautious about leaving any online traces that could lead the police to him. Nonetheless, he couldn't fight back the desire to share the gruesome acts that he had committed with his online gamer girlfriend, who lived in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He messaged her 5 days after murdering Kimberly, sharing with her that he wanted to tell her something important, and that he wanted the two to talk in a chat room in World of Warcraft. He chose the multiplayer online role-playing game as his medium because he thought the conversations were less likely to be saved than a traditional messenger. He confessed the crime to his online girlfriend and even sent her links to news articles to back up his story. Unsurprisingly to him, she responded, "I'll always be here no matter what you do." Cameron also confirmed Cruz's story to his gamer girlfriend through World of Warcraft. When the girl asked Cruz if he felt sorry for Kimberly's friends and family, and, quote, "all whose lives you have ruined," Cruz replied, "No, I don't feel bad for them." For the next few weeks, Cruz attended school intermittently, while fellow students mourned the loss of Kimberly. He had outbursts in class when the subject of Kimberly came up, telling one student, "I'm glad she's dead, I hated her." Cruz and Cameron bragged to themselves over online chat rooms that they were getting away with the murder. Feeling confident, Cameron wrote to Cruz, "Since we killed that and it wasn't too hard, we should do it again."
Okay, last chance. Enter Honey's giveaway now, and you could win this, or this. Just add Honey to your web browser, sign up for an account if you don't have one, and you're automatically entered to win free stuff. And the prizes are always changing. You could win, or Or Honey is free. It works basically everywhere. You shop here, Honey search.
It's crazy.
Eventually, the two boys were brought in and questioned by police. Although they admitted to seeing Kimberly the morning of her murder, they said she left early to go to school. Investigators weren't convinced, and it wasn't too long before they had enough evidence to monitor both of them officially. Cruz and Cameron had their homes bugged by investigators, along with their cell phones and even the gazebo at a park where they hung out. They also traced their online searches and retrieved old texts and online messages. In the end, the evidence collected accumulated to the equivalent of a staggering 1.4 billion pages of data and transcripts between the two of them. Cruz and Cameron were both arrested on June 18, 2010. Both boys were said to be extremely calm when taken into custody. 2 days later, police began to interrogate Cameron, but when they asked for specific details, Cameron toyed with police, saying,
"I'm telling you the truth. I'm just not telling you every single little thing that happened down to the tiniest grain of detail that I can come up with in my mind." And trust me, there's a lot of really disgusting...
He told them that they burned the body, knowing that the bones would be left behind, but at least the evidence of the bruises and horrors acted out upon Kimberly's flesh would be gone. He also said, "There's going to be a time and place one day when this is going to be so easy to tell." In a conversation recorded between the two teens that took place in a sheriff's van on the way to their first court appearance, Cruz could be heard telling Cameron about his interrogation. He said, "They were really trying to stroke my ego, telling me how smart they think I am." Cameron replied, "I just laughed at half the things they said and just sat there with a big-ass grin on my face." Both Cruz and Cameron pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and indignity to human remains. Even though both teens were minors at the time of the crime, the prosecution sought adult sentences. Almost a year after the murder, a Canadian court sentenced Cruz and Cameron to life in prison, with no chance of parole for 10 years. They were transferred to adult facilities where a more comprehensive offender treatment program is offered. One of these treatments includes chemical castration, which is a drug treatment used in Canada to reduce the likelihood of recidivism in assault crimes. Even though the sentence imposed was the maximum penalty for a juvenile under Canadian law, Kimberly's parents were not satisfied with the justice served. They wanted to see the boys pay for their crime with their lives. However, the death penalty is not an option in Canada. Kimberly's mother, Lucy, told reporters, quote, "When an animal is sick, you put them down. They're not even animals. I don't like to use that word because Kim was a huge animal person. Those two were monsters." Kimberly's father, Fred, would tell reporters outside the courtroom, "These animals aren't rehabilitatable. They deserve to die a long, slow, horrific, painful death." 10 years later, on May 15, 2020, Cruz faced a hearing to determine whether he was eligible for full parole and escorted temporary absences. Joanne Landolt, Kimberly's aunt, said, "He told the parole board he wanted the escorted day passes because he wanted to go to church on Sundays, which is ridiculous because they have chaplains in prison." She was listening in to the hearing virtually due to COVID constraints. She added, "It's ridiculous. We could be going through this again and again and again. And who knows when Cameron's going to start trying? We're not going to see the end of this until they are dead or they are released." Cruz's parole was denied in the first 10 minutes, but he will automatically be eligible for parole again in 5 years. He can apply for escorted day passes anytime. Reports about the crime were careful not to blame video games, specifically World of Warcraft. However, the online chat room played a key role in gathering the evidence needed to convict Cruz and Cameron. Recalling the tragedy, Kimberly's mother said, "It doesn't go away, and thinking about what she went through is beyond horrific." Kimberly is gone forever, but Cruz and Cameron may one day be released and integrated back into society. What are your thoughts about the chance that these killer boys could eventually be let out of prison? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this video interesting, more stories for you to explore will pop up next.
I don't know, bro. Shit is crazy, y'all. Just be careful out there in the online world, y'all. People are monsters, like that woman said.